Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul, is in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where Vincentians are putting carpentry skills to work as they make beds, dressers, and furniture for people in need.
Once a Presbyterian church, now remade by the Society into a home for teenage girls who've been living on the streets. I'm Trace Trulko in Eugene, Oregon. The story just ahead on Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
And we're going grocery shopping in Atlanta, where a fresh approach helps provide dignity to our neighbors. These stories are just some examples of the good works of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul across the United States.
Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
We are in the Hoosier State, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The Society has been operating in Fort Wayne since 1944. This thrift store provides vouchers for clothing, furniture, and beds, and generates funds to help Vincentians help others. Welcome to Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul. I'm Michelle Wargo. We're inside the Society's thrift store in downtown Fort Wayne, where you'll find treasures just around every corner and busy carpenters hard at work. The hum of circular saws gives life to this woodshop, housed in a corner of a St. Vincent de Paul thrift store in Fort Wayne, Indiana. A team of busy carpenters hard at work, transforming sheets of plywood and 2x4s into furniture.
The dressers first of all, then the bunk beds. Then we started making bookcases and little step stools for kids to get up to the sink. Built the other little items, and right now we're building children's-sized chairs and tables.
Vincentian John Becker, with the conference at St. Jude Catholic Church, is a part of a team that makes furniture. Many of these items are sold inside this store. Society volunteer Jim Smith, a parishioner at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church and an engineer by background, learned what John and the crew were working on and knew he had to be a part of it.
I have a passion myself for woodworking. I have a shop at home, so I started coming down here, see what these people are doing. Just kind of got hooked at that point.
Not every bunk bed, chair, or table makes it to the sales floor. Many are used as part of the St. Vincent de Paul Council of Fort Wayne's voucher program, in which furniture and furnishings are provided to individuals and families in need at no cost. The Society's voucher program is helping Aisha Craig. A survivor of domestic violence, Aisha is building a new life with her young children.
And they were so quick to step in and help me and my children get things for our new home.
A new direction has meant starting from scratch. With help from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Fort Wayne, Aisha is turning this house into a home.
They really helped in a big way, and I was almost overwhelmed when I went to the store and met some of the people there, and the way they were so gracious and willing to assist me without having ever known me before.
Reverend Timothy Rozek, spiritual advisor for the Fort Wayne Council, says the Holy Spirit works through the Society's volunteers.
I'm thinking that people who work in the shop work because they love God and they love the poor.
John is moved and motivated by the people he meets.
Some of them will have one chair. They're lucky if they got two chairs. They're lucky if they got beds for everybody. And a lot of places we go and, first thing we say, where do you sleep? What do you have to sit on? We go in and we give them what we can, help with whatever people donate to us. We pass along to the needy.
Aisha raves about the quality of the handcrafted furniture.
They were like, these beds are solid. Like, we built these to last on and on and on. And he wasn't kidding. He was like, don't be shy. These are sturdy. And indeed, and when they brought it in, I was just like amazed. It is solid. So I really love that.
Everybody in here has a lot of pride in what we produce. And we're always moving to produce a good product.
Furniture put together with a lot of care and love.
Today, someone who works in this store, someone who works in the shop, someone who goes out to home visit, they make a small contribution to the overall goal of bringing Christ into the world and making the world on fire again, like Jesus came and wanted to set the whole world afire and aflame with love. They make that contribution of love.
What may have started out as a way of putting his skills to work now means much more to Jim.
It's been a real growth for me in terms of giving back for the graces I've been given. It really fills my heart. It's talents that I think God gave me that I can put to good use.
Aisha is grateful and can't wait until her girls see their new bunk beds.
I've never had to do this before, and I didn't know what kind of atmosphere it'd be, and they were just so kind and so warm, and just like, they were like, come on in. I was trying to be modest and take the least, and they were like, no, these girls can have a bunk bed. Like, they need a bed that's good for them, not you sharing one. And I mean, I just couldn't, believe how welcoming and generous they were.
Very little of the materials go to waste. These Vincentians are even making tiny toy trains out of the leftover pieces of wood. Just ahead, life on the streets, a reality for far too many young people. This youth house provides a haven and an opportunity at transformation. When Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul returns.
Every year, timed to the feast day of St. Vincent de Paul, tens of thousands of Vincentians and their friends and neighbors walk for the poor. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul holds its Friends of the Poor Walk to raise awareness and funds for those living in poverty. All proceeds from the events stay in the communities where they are raised, so Vincentians can directly help people in poverty. To find a walk near you, visit sbdpusa.org.
The Society has an active conference presence at St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in Fort Wayne. All told, some 500 Vincentians from more than 20 conferences help tens of thousands of people every year. This beautiful mosaic inside the church was designed by local artist William L. Lupkin. It's a group that often gets overlooked, homeless youth. Vincentians in Eugene, Oregon are changing young people's lives, as Trace Trilko shows us on this tour of the Society's youth house.
Jamaica Anderson has experienced a lot of difficult things during her young life.
I am a very, very strong woman with a lot of ambition to try to help girls not go through what I put myself through.
The 22-year-old woman witnessed her parents' drug abuse, bounced from house to foster homes, and eventually ended up on the streets. Fortunately, she persevered and now is helping others with similar experiences at the St. Vincent de Paul Youth House for Girls, a safe haven for homeless teenagers, supported by the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County, Oregon.
Though I went through a lot of bad stuff, I became who I am today, and though I still struggle and nothing's perfect, I wouldn't change who I am for anybody.
Jamaica helped plan the design of the house, transformed into a home for 13 teens out of what was formerly a Presbyterian church. The Youth House project started in 2014, but the seeds of this effort date back 2 decades earlier, when project coordinator Paul Naval was a reporter profiling a homeless girl.
I showed up to write a story about this girl who was in high school and she was homeless. This is 20 years ago. And I had to agree to interview her that I wouldn't identify her. And she lived in a van right behind a gas station. And I thought, how do you do it? How do you survive? How do you live from one day to another? How do you keep going? And I told that story when I was started to do fundraising, and somebody came to me later and he said, you know why you're doing what you're doing, don't you? And I said, why? And he said, you're doing because of that girl. because she changed her heart. What we've done is take this sanctuary and we've turned it into the great room. And I call it the Commons. And the Commons is where we want to draw the homeless, unaccompanied girls who are staying here. They're going to get to stay for 2 years rent-free. We're going to bring them in here, and we want these kids to gather. This is where they come, they sit together, they talk together, they laugh together, they cry together.
The Youth House provides up to 2 years of transitional housing through individual apartments, as well as food, clothing, and health care. The Society's Pete Kern says this wraparound approach is critical to success.
It's been fun to be a part of it. It's exciting that young women are here and have an opportunity to achieve something in their life, to move towards a trajectory they might not have otherwise had an opportunity for.
Kern says the Youth House is helping to fill a desperate need in this part of Oregon.
The most alarming are those people who are young adults or who are separated from their families. Either they've been abandoned or they haven't felt safe living with their families, and so they're making it on their own.
Mia Longsworth experienced homelessness from a young age, going from her original home in Eugene with a mother addicted to drugs to various stops in California with a father she barely knew. Mia also helped on the Youth House's design. She understands the importance of stability.
It makes me really happy, just knowing that there's going to be a place here for them and that people care this much. That's the one problem with being homeless, is that you kind of start to lose your sense of being normal, and that just starts to really get to you, and you think that you can never be normal. So when you find a place that you could just stay at and be stable, and you know you're going to be stable for 2 years, it's great, because it's you're able to focus on yourself and figure out what you want your life to be, instead of always trying to figure out where food is or where you're going to sleep next and all that sort of thing.
Watching kids who have been on the street for years, since they've been 12 or 13 and now they're 18, and saying, okay, let's move you off. Let's get you into stable housing. Let's get you a job. Let's get you every other thing that you need to become a member of this community and really do something great for yourself. And so moving kids off the street has definitely been one of the most rewarding experiences.
Jenna Laver works at the Youth House and also is a part of the 15th Night Youth Action Coalition, which aims to get the homeless off the streets within 15 days of becoming homeless. Why 15 days? Laver says the coalition believes after that point, people living without a home face an increased risk of becoming chronically homeless, and the Society's Youth House can play an important part in reversing that trend.
I think it's going to be really successful. I think the girls are going to feel at home for once. They'll feel comfortable. They will have community, people they can talk to, and they don't know who else to talk to. And I hope that it really creates a family environment, and I think it will.
Nestled in a neighborhood, this Youth House has been put together with a lot of love and care, a spot where lives are being transformed.
St. Vincent de Paul has a reputation of doing housing right, of working with neighborhoods, of creating a community within a community.
Society volunteer Mary Sharon Moore says the Youth House fits nicely into this Eugene neighborhood.
St. Vinny's, as it's affectionately called, had this reputation already. And there was also a neighborhood leader in the surrounding neighborhood who said, this is going to be a positive for everyone. It was completely transformative. Transformative for the neighborhood, transformative also for the larger city, to actually witness a neighborhood, a community saying yes to a housing venture like this. Transformative for the young women who will be here. It's complete win-win. In my humble opinion, it is what the reign of God looks like.
Moore says her work with the Society puts her faith into action. She believes what's happening with the Youth House in Lane County can be replicated in other communities.
Yes, I travel nationwide as an evangelizing missionary. And at some point in my workshop or my parish mission or my talk, I work in some slides and some narrative around what St. Vincent de Paul Society of Lane County is doing. to show people how to bring faith into the civic square. So I am uninhibited when it comes to talking about faith in action.
Jenna and Mia appreciate what the Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Lane County is doing with this youth house and are grateful for the opportunities it presents.
There's a lot of studies that show that the first step to creating a sustainable, healthy life is to first get stable housing and stability in a kid's life and in anybody's life. To move them off the street, stability is the first step.
Absolutely, like it's a need that this needs to be dealt with. And I really want people to know that it's a problem, because not everyone knows that there's like a huge youth homelessness problem, and it affects people because it's the next generation too. Like, these are the people that are going to grow up and take care of everyone else, and the newer generation, they're going to be the parents, and you want them to feel like safe and cared about. I think that it's amazing how much care everyone's put in to this place. It like astounded me when I came in here because I hadn't seen it previously finished. So like seeing all just like the little details of things, like the crayons and the little stuffed animals and the handmade quilts, like all of it, it just shows you like how much people really, really care about this problem.
Little touches that go a long way.
Well, I dream of the day, maybe 15 years from now, when the first group coming through here will come back someday, 15 years from now, and say, I started out here, my life changed here, where they can speak to that next generation of young women being housed here and say, let me tell you, this place was the foundation for my life, where I could get it together, make some life decisions, and make something of myself. And let me tell you my story now. I look forward to the day when that will happen.
And to think, all the society has built here comes more than 2 decades after Paul Novell's chance encounter with a young homeless girl, a teenager who inadvertently inspired a dream. For Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul, I'm Trace Trolko.
Thanks, Trace. Plans are already underway for another youth house, this one dedicated to helping boys. Still ahead, the Society is well known for feeding the hungry. A fresh approach is growing in popularity.
Pork chops, apples, and so much more. This is a choice food pantry, providing dignity to those in need. I'm Paul Boron in Atlanta. That story's ahead on Our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Church in Fort Wayne dates to 1846. The current church opened in 2001. This stained glass features Blessed Frederick Ozanam, who founded the society in St. Vincent's name in 1833 in Paris, France. In the South, St. Vincent de Paul trucks are fanning out across Atlanta, picking up high-quality foods that would normally be thrown away. As Paul Boron explains, the Society is offering greater choices for those needing a helping hand, and they're doing so while providing dignity.
Nothing should ever hit the trash can at all. Nothing. Some things you can't save, but trust me, most of it you can.
Tony Brewster is a man on a mission. The St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia driver visits more than 40 grocery stores every week, collecting unsold food that might otherwise go to waste. Tony is part of the team involved with making the St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia Food Recovery and Distribution Program a success. Every month, St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia collects nearly 40 tons of food, which is distributed to dozens of food pantries throughout the state.
Typically, I can get, 10 boxes of frozen meat. I can get 10 or 12 boxes of bread, some dairy.
From pickup to sorting, the food keeps moving.
I take it directly back to the warehouse, the main warehouse, and I go through a processing program. We make sure we got some really good stuff for everybody, and then we date it and put it in the freezer.
Tony's work crisscrossing Atlanta helps fill this food pantry, where recipients shop for what they prefer, and in the process, maintain dignity, and they don't end up with items they don't need.
Typically when a family leaves here, they'll have 50, 60 pounds worth of food. If it's a large family, I've seen them leave with over 100 pounds worth of food. St. Vincent de Paul tries very hard to have a diverse amount of types of food here.
Vincentian Jim Skian with the conference at Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic Church says a client choice pantry features fruit and vegetables, bread and meat, variety that's a lot like what's available in a full-service grocery store. Neighbors in need choose the items they like, food that meets dietary requirements.
We try very, very hard to treat everybody with respect and with dignity. I think most people, when they leave here, they feel good about themselves. They feel good about the food that they've obtained.
Deacon Ed Patterson at Our Lady of Assumption Catholic Church, who's been involved with the society as a spiritual advisor for many years, says what sets the society apart from other organizations is its personal approach.
Well, that is the heart of the Vincentian charism, if you will, that it's person to person. People, it ensures several things. One, that people are not just a number that you're filling in a blank in a sheet of paper, and that you actually have personal contact. And we try to bring Christ to the people who are in need, and we do that by being present to them.
Seeking help, but with dignity as well. You know, it's not just a handout, it's a hand up. And it feels like a partnership. It feels like you're taking responsibility for getting back on your feet. This is awesome.
Lindsey Waltower turned to St. Vincent de Paul after hurting his back and experiencing work issues that resulted in a loss of income. Being able to choose quality groceries at the St. Vincent de Paul food pantry has helped him make ends meet.
My budget is so tight right now. We just weighed my shopping experience, and it was over 100 and something pounds worth of food. So as a single person, that's huge. I mean, that's 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks of my budget that I didn't have to allocate for food that I can apply towards utilities and gas and those other things. So I have enough food and other supplies to get me through this window. So I'm grateful and very thankful that St. Vincent is here for us and you know, have the resources and the ability to help.
Yeah, I want one of those. Oh, it was great. I walked in, had a good feeling. You know, we did an interview and talked about some of the support that they could offer us in, you know, monetary or any other kind of ways. And I couldn't believe it. It was like a grocery store. We walked in with a buggy and we just went and shopped. And that's amazing. You know, there's an organization that actually does something like this.
Dexie Norman and her fiance were in financial trouble after medical issues and car repairs made money tight. She's grateful for the help she's received from St. Vincent de Paul, Georgia.
Warms my heart. Just warms my heart. And, very blessed.
We give you the opportunity to choose what you want, what you like to eat, and what it is that you want from St. Vincent de Paul.
Vincentian Teresa Obiekwe with the conference at Immaculate Heart of Mary Catholic Church has been a part of St. Vincent de Paul for nearly 15 years and says the work of the Food Recovery and Distribution Program is just one example of how the Lord works through the society every day.
Yes. St. Vincent de Paul is one of the ministries that I hold dear to my heart. With St. Vincent de Paul, we are able to help people while still maintaining their dignity of life. We walk with you, the individual that you are, and we maintain your dignity as we walk with you and help you to the best as what we can.
On this day, Obiekwe shopped with Waltower. This Air Force veteran appreciates how she and the society have impacted his life, and he believes he has done the same for them.
Pride and ego will have you suffering. So if you can get beyond that and seek help and let people help, because it's amazing when you reach out to get help. My presence here has helped other people. It helps the volunteers be better volunteers. It helps the organization further its mission.
Many times the food pantry provides a window into other ways to help those in need. Vincentians and those who work for the society find this a blessing in and of itself.
So spiritually, it helps me get closer to God, and it has helped me believe that there is a God, and faith. I have faith it's going to be okay. Because most of the time, the people that I help, if I call them 30 days later, 45 days later, they are doing much better. So I just believe there's God out there and He helps out.
I feel closer to God by seeing the good things that happen. Oftentimes, I'll visit folks in their homes and I'll ask them questions and I'll think, where did that come from? Or something will happen that, you know, they really need our help and we show up at just that right moment. So you kind of think that maybe God sent us there at that particular time. We're messengers of God. I mean, that may seem a little presumptuous to say, but I think that's true.
Oh, wow. Well, over the years, it's like I said, we've grown. The importance of it, man, is to feed and to help all the less fortunate people. And we do that day in and day out. There are so many people that need help in this world today. And we make it our business to support and to help each and every person we can that needs our help.
Help in the form of a bounty of food that likely would have just gone to waste, and provided by caring hearts in a way that offers dignity through the simple act of grocery shopping. For our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul, I'm Paul Boron.
And in Seattle, Vincentians are doing their part too. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul of Seattle and King County provides quality produce, meats, dairy products, and other non-perishable items through their food bank. Vincentian Tracy Reed with the conference at Assumption Catholic Church serves at this food bank every week, something she's been doing for more than 8 years.
I come back here because it sounds funny, but this place makes me feel very humble, yet very, very inspired. So I come because I've been fortunate, and coming here makes me feel like I'm doing something to sort of, not necessarily pay back, but I'm trying to further the mission of helping people who aren't as fortunate as I've been.
Most recently, the Society in Seattle served more than 63,000 guests. We end our time in Fort Wayne with a quote from St. Vincent. Charity is the cement which binds communities to God and persons to one another. For our Faith in Action, today's Society of St. Vincent de Paul, I'm Michelle Wargo.